What is up, everybody? Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Your Ex Drinking Buddy with me, your host, Brennan Tassif. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Check us out on YouTube. Full video available there. Check out the merch store. Look at all this stuff. We got all this stuff on the merch store. It's all available on the website, brennantcomedy.com. You can also get my tour dates there. Every show that I have coming up, I'm going to be in New York, traveling the country, doing a bunch of gigs. So check it out. Get tickets at brennantcomedy.com. Check out the merch store. And lastly, if you really want to support, go to www.patreon.com/BrennanTComedy. And that is where you can find Tales from the Restaurant, where I divulge everything about the celebrities I wait on. And also a little bit of behind the scenes. You'll also get the episodes early, a bunch of bonus episodes. Check it all out. Thank you so much. Enjoy the episode.
Grab me a beer and grab him a coke. We bout to sit for an hour, bullshit and tell jokes. And please don't mix it up, cause he done sobered up. Brandon T Comedy on your social media feeds. And Brandon Tassif is your ex drinking buddy. Brandon Tassif is your ex drinking buddy. Brandon Tassif is your ex drinking buddy. Brandon Tassif is your ex drinking buddy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Your Ex Drinking Buddy. I am your host, Brennan Tassif. If you're new to the program, quick rundown of the show. I used to be everyone's favorite drinking buddy. It was my favorite thing to do, hang out with friends, get drunk, do drugs, get in all sorts of trouble, and then reminisce about those crazy stories. I am sober now, but it's still one of my favorite things to do, hang out with somebody and reminisce about the crazy old days. Most weeks I'll be joined by a guest. This week is no exception. All the way from Brooklyn, New York, Brooks Tawil. Woo, almost ran out of breath on that one.
You're a little red in the face. It's okay. It's okay.
What's up, dude?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Before we get too far into anything, plug everything up front. Your social media, the comedy club, plug everything.
Sure. I mean, you can follow me, Brooks Tawil, on Instagram. It is a play on my name. I have a joke about it.
I remember that joke.
It's oh my god, it's a setup from like the day of my birth, basically. Like, this kid is going to be made fun of. Brooks Tawil on Instagram, all the social medias. I am on TikTok sometimes. Again, I don't remember when I started that. And co-owner of Bushwick Comedy Club. You can check us out, bushwickcomedy.com, located right on Melrose Street, 10 minutes from the Myrtle Broadway JM, which is a special place, and the Morgan L. Fantastic live comedy, intimate space, really amazing. We'll probably get more into it later in the show.
Hell yeah. So I wanted to have you on. We met, I don't know if you remember this, we met years ago when, I think it was at an open mic or something, when I had first moved to the city. And this is the interesting thing, and I talked about it when I had Tori Cole on, because the same thing, like I met her very early on, and I was like, oh, New York comedy is crazy, because like real comics are going to open mics. And I say that because in Jacksonville, where I'm from, the scene, a lot of the open mics are kind of like shows. So there's always like the Jacksonville comics are always there. But I had assumed in New York, the real comics, quote unquote, would be at clubs and like wouldn't be at the open mics. And then when I got here, there were real comics at the open mic, like you and Tori and like people like that. And I was like, oh, like it's not just like there's not a segregation between clubs and open mics. Like it all kind of mixes, just like every other scene. And then I didn't see you again for like 3 years.
It's so funny to bring it up because seeing at the club or just running your own open mic, you will realize that everyone is out everywhere. I find that I'll go on like Reddit or something, and there's these like discussions on like our stand-up, which is like, oh, do I have to go to open mic, or should I go to the show? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, maybe there's debate to be had about that, but I'm in New York. I'm just like, everyone is going everywhere whenever they can. Yeah, that's it. Do whatever you can or want to do, and that's the only thing that should drive you, because you'll run into people you haven't seen in years going to the mics. I'm like, oh yeah, I've been living in Brooklyn for 2 years.
Yeah,
like,
well, and that was then we were on a show together,
right? Yeah,
and then I was like, dude, how the fuck have you been? And you're like, well, I started a club.
I was like, oh, I just started a whole LLC, and that was a whole adventure. There's comics I'll still run into that I remember from miking back in like Cellar 77.
Yeah, that's where we met.
Yes, that I still haven't seen in years. And I know they're working.
There on Sunday.
I know they're doing stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just physically, I haven't seen this person in a while. And I'll see them on social media, or I might even not. I'll be like, oh, you were someone that I would bump into at the 5:30, 6:30, and 7:30 mics in a basement of a bar.
Yeah.
What a special place it was.
And it's so odd because I've run into people who have been doing comedy for like a year or so. Because, there's different, you see, and I'm sure you see this owning a club. There's like classes. And we hear older comics on podcasts talk about it all the time. But now being in New York for 5 years, I'm starting to see that development of like, Cody Lewis and Bobby Bill Hockman and Tori Cole. And it's like, we're all in like this same class. Because we all we're doing open mics and now we're all doing something a little bit more. And it's so crazy to think about that because I'll see these young kids come in and they'll be like doing comedy for a year in New York and they'll be like, New York is so small. Like everyone says the comedy scene is so big, but it's so small. And in my head, I'm like, just wait.
Yeah, just wait.
A couple of those friends that you go to mics with every week, they're going to move to Brooklyn or Queens and then you will never see them again.
They've just cracked open Pandora's box. Yeah. They have yet to fully open it. It's also with that sense of scale, right? I've always told people, even since I first started, New York City is 5 scenes in one city. Whereas you go probably to Jacksonville or other places like Pittsburgh or something, it's oh, that's the scene. And that makes sense. It's great. It's everyone kind of knows each other. There's places to go. There's connection. In New York City, there are 5 sub-hubs, basically. Upper Manhattan, Lower Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island,
Jersey,
Long
Staten Island,
yeah, that kind
Long
of
Island.
Really peripheral.
The reason we put all that together, because it's all very listen here, I love you, you're the greatest people.
And that's what they're calling it, Staten Island.
Staten? I love a good Staten, my heart's not great.
Our New Yorker president, by the way, our New Yorker president.
Shout out.
Shout out.
But that is true. And I had a very good friend of mine, Matt Fulstron, who I tour with, I feature for, I should say. He talked about this because he had lived in LA for a long time, then moved to New York, then back to LA, then moved to New York, and then now he's back in LA. But he kind of described it the same way. He was like, not only is New York a central hub for comedy, it's like the mecca of comedy, but it's also that for everything else. Finance, acting, theater, everyone comes to New York. So it is a crazy thing because, and I've told the story a million times, but just I'll do the quick version. When I first moved to New York, I went to Tiny Cupboard to do a mic, and it was, everyone was like, careful, just... Because I'm from the South. So they're like, when you go to Brooklyn, just be mindful of what you look like, where you're from, what you're saying, which is what we should do anyway. And I told a true story. And then a white woman came up to me after and says, you can't tell that story. It perpetuates stereotypes. And I was like, yeah, but it's a true story. And she goes, it doesn't matter. You still can't tell it. And I go, oh, I'm never coming back to Brooklyn.
Right.
Because that scene is and so then I literally stuck to that. And now I go to Brooklyn a lot more because, but it's so weird how that one thing can paint the entire picture of an entire scene, to your point, where it's Brooklyn comics, that's the alt scene.
Right. But now for the same, now $3, you can go to another scene with just an extra 15 minutes of travel.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And you could experience something else. And it's kind of crazy to see that play out. Because, by the way, Tiny Cover is one of those places where it was I always felt on edge on what I could or couldn't say.
Yeah.
And our place is decidedly not like that.
Well, and that's what I mean. It's it's in the same, if someone said, oh, I'm going to a club in Brooklyn, my first instinct 3 years ago after what happened at Tiny Cupboard, because I held that grudge for 2 years, would be fuck clubs in Brooklyn.
Exactly.
Which is something, again, it's not, but you guys, especially at your club, have broken through to be no, we're not doing that shit.
Right. That's over. Yeah. Woke is dead.
I don't know if you heard.
To hear you, I was basically egging you on for that. Thank you.
I try not to do it anymore, but sometimes.
Don't worry,
right.
Woke 2 is out now. It's really good. I like it. But that was something I took with honesty and assessing. Okay, what is Brooklyn's comedy scene? What is the opportunity here? And to summarize it quickly, it's there's a gap in the market to make a finance turn. There's a gap in the market for well-curated, easily accessible comedy. And that's where we fit into, because it's Brooklyn. It was Brooklyn. It was indie shows and the Tiny Cupboard. And
it was a huge alt scene, which is good because I love some Mitch Hedberg is one of my favorite comics. Dimitri Martin, Zach Galifianakis. I love those guys.
That stuff, and even non-alt stuff. There are shows that happen. There are
clubs,
I'm doing it now. South Brooklyn.
I'm not even trying to do it, and I'm doing it now. I'm no, it is just the alt scene.
No, it's so much bigger now too.
Yeah.
And to us was basically honestly, other people are doing comedy-owned venues. Why? One equivalence I had is all right, look, if chefs can own their restaurants, if musicians can own their labels, if every sort of creative pursuit can own the venue with which it happens,
actors own their own production companies,
right? Why can comedians not own their own comedy clubs? And decidedly, this is our place is just one of many others now that are popping up with that realization.
You guys were the first ones, and I want to give you full credit for this because I don't know what the chronological timeline was. But in my experience, from looking at it from the outside world, just following everybody on social media and stuff, you guys were the Bushwick Comedy Club was the first one where I was like, they fucking did it. And then I learned about Grove 34 later.
Right.
But, Scott has been on the show a bunch, and
Yeah.
I'm shooting my special there in May because it's, it's down the street, which, again, to your point, it's like so convenient to just be like, yeah, let's just walk 4 blocks.
Right,
Instead
exactly.
of taking 2 trains into Manhattan.
God.
But it is one of those things where then I started noticing it more and more. And then, I think there's 6 now of people that I would consider a friend. Like Carlos and those guys have their spot. And it's like one of those things where you're like, oh, yeah, people are just doing it.
Right. That is in part borne out because we had that experience. And I think Grove 34 definitely has an experience where we're comedians. We're going out to, we started some of us because we saw an open mic and we're like, oh, that guy was terrible. I can do that.
Yeah.
And kind of that, but for venues, it's like I would go to a venue, I'd be like, oh, I could do this. This is simple. This is so doable.
There's so many venues, and I won't mention them because I have gotten in trouble before for mentioning them on the podcast. One time a booker wouldn't text me back, and I reached out to somebody who knows the booker pretty well, and I was like, what's going on? And he goes, your podcast is public, right? And I was like, I wasn't wrong to say what I said. I was right.
Is there freedom of speech or is there really?
It was funny because they were like, yeah, you were right, but now you're just not going to get booked there. And I was like,
yeah,
okay.
fair, yeah.
Kind of wanted the same time, but all right. But to your point, it is incredible how many places we can go, whether it's a bar that does comedy or something that builds itself as a comedy club. When you walk in and you go, I am an expert when it comes to hospitality because I worked in restaurants for 20 years. But even if you're not an expert, you could walk in and go, this doesn't seem...
Vibe is off.
Yeah, this doesn't seem right.
Right. So to use that language, you can almost walk in and say, vibe is off, doesn't feel like I'm being catered to or accustomed to, or it's like...
It's like I'm a nuisance just for being here.
Exactly. That is the nail on the head.
Yeah.
It feels like you are a nuisance by being there. There are places you walk into and it's like, oh, my presence is an inconvenience.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that's a big thing in the Northeast, especially New York, where it's like... Because I come from the South, where you walk into a place, even if it's a fucking McDonald's, people are like, hey, how you doing? Come on in.
Right.
But in New York, you walk into a place and people are like, the fuck do you want?
Yes.
And you're like, cool.
And some places, honestly, I'd love to be abused by my local cheap Chinese place.
Yeah.
Don't care about me at all. My presence is a bother to you, but that's why I want that because I know your food is good enough to merit it.
And it's also $8 a quart. So
right.
that's
So
fine.
I'm not going to complain.
Yeah.
I know what I'm paying for. Whereas if I'm willing to shell out $50 for a night out with someone, and some of these places it's more, I at least want to be treated well.
Yeah.
I at least want to be created. And some clubs do great and they are high priced, but they at least make you feel like, oh, this is a nice space. There's someone checking me. They're asking me if there's anything I could do.
There are so many clubs where as a comedian you walk in and they go, what?
Yeah.
And you go, you don't know me. What if I was someone coming to the show?
Right,
right.
The
fuck is wrong with you?
I'll not call out the stand. I want to praise the stand because of they have the person in the front checking tickets. Oh, hey, I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
And even if I'm there hey, I'm just hanging out, they'll be like, oh, hey, I'm a comedian. I'm just looking to hang out at the bar. Great. And they'll just motion.
The stand is great with that.
That little bit of care shows, all right, there's a care about the space or whatever.
And the other thing I love about it is at the stand, because I am very self-conscious about just hanging at clubs. The 2 places I will do it is the stand, because, again, to your point, they're very much like, yeah, you want to come hang? Just come hang.
Right, here's a bar, here's some chairs,
And the Olive Tree is the only other place I'll do that, because it is a restaurant, so I'll go in and I go once a week to sit down and eat and just be around it, because it's fucking insane.
Yeah, I heard the food's really good.
The food's really good, and then also, I had a friend in town, shout out Rob Rowick, he was in town a couple weeks ago, and we went just to get dinner, and it's so cool because he's a comic from Florida. So we go to the Olive Tree and it's like, oh, there's Ray Romano. He's talking to Chris Rock.
Right.
And this is what was happening. And he was like, this is your life? And I was like, well, yeah, sometimes it's pretty tame. But yeah, sometimes you get this. But other clubs, again, circling back to the initial point, it's very much like they're like, why are you here if you're not on the show? And it's like, yeah, but don't. Because it is a symbiotic relationship. You need comics to want to hang at the club. because also if they take off, you want them to want to perform at the club.
Right. And there is also just that night you want to build a good like vibe. Like you want people to be feeling welcome, whether they're on the show, not the show, whatever. I think we have a problem, which is in that I love the space, I love it dearly, but comics aren't like it's not like down the block from a lot of people who are out and about or want to think of a place to hang. Like I encourage comics like, oh, you want to hang at the show, like hang in the back, hang in the front, whatever. But many people don't come to be like, oh, I'll be here all night because it's usually a little annoying to get to and you have to commit to it. There's some comics who live across the street or whatever, but that's
they're
not
there all the time.
All the time.
That I actually noticed with Grove 34. Because I do a lot of produce shows there. And when I would go, there'd be like these, and again, to how big the scene is, there'd be a bunch of comics there. And I didn't fucking know any. And I do something comedy related every day. Whether it's here, cutting clips, the podcast, whatever it is, or going out doing, I call it my lap. I'll do a lap around McDougal Street because there's like 8 clubs there.
Right.
See who's barking, talk to whoever's out on the street. You see so many people who I wouldn't talk to on a regular basis because I feel like they're way above me. But you see them just coming out of the subway and it's a mutual respecting. Like, oh, hey, what's going on? Nothing. What's going on with you? And I go to Grove, like if I'm producing a show or if I'm just going to hang out and I'm like, oh, there's like 12 comics here that all live in Astoria,
right?
That all live around the area. I don't know fucking soul one. And it's like, what am I doing wrong?
One task I will give to anyone who is either a comedian, but really more just like a fan of comedy or someone who wants to go to a comedy club is just like take note of what people are doing in the space.
Yeah.
Because if it is a sit-down restaurant and people are just eating a restaurant, like, okay, this is like more just formal business. If there are a lot of people at a bar and they're all talking and jawing and stuff like that, you'd be like, oh, maybe there's like a good vibe. People like this place. Like that's something that you have to understand. The business tries to curate the entire look, not just on the stage, off the stage. Because some do a great job at that, some do a bad job at that. But think about everything else about the space. How easy was it for me to get my seat? How easy was it for me to get a drink? How simple, like, was I being, not harassed, but was there a line of questioning at the door? Like, is the space well lit? Like, I genuinely love when people look at these things. And that's all stuff you take into consideration. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's every day.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, how do I look? Did I set up everything correctly? I have this like, I feel like I've said it thousands of times, which is, hey, welcome to Bushwick Comedy Club. Are you folks here for the 8 o'clock show? And they'll be like, sure. And they'll be like, great. What's the name on your ticket? And they'll be like, blah. And they'll be like, awesome. You're all checked in. We're going to start seating in 15 minutes. Can I get you anything to drink? And they'll be like, yes or no. And be like, great. And we're seating in 10 minutes.
But that's what I'm talking about.
The thing. That's what you have to do.
We're getting all hyped up about hospitality.
Oh, my God. It's nuts.
Dude, I had this conversation with my father. He was in town for my wedding last week. And there was like a disagreement that he had with someone at the front desk at the hotel. And I was kind of the mindset where I was like, yeah, all that person at the front desk had to do was say, like, again, if people are getting upset with each other or, you're frustrated, I totally understand that as someone who's worked in the restaurant industry for 20 years. I've been called a fucking idiot, a retard, a moron. Like, I've been called all of that shit.
Right.
And so I understand when people are frustrated. But my whole point, because we went back up to the room and I was kind of like, Dad, you didn't have to like say, are you calling me a liar? But at the same time, the guy could have just been like, oh no, bags are over there. Instead of being like, I don't fucking check bags. What are you talking about? And it's
come on.
It's like, dude, you work in a hotel. Your job is hospitality. You couldn't just be like, oh no, sorry, sir, the bags are over there. Like,
right.
And that's what I mean is like this whole like New York attitude where it's like, we don't take no shit. It's like, your job is taking shit. Like, that's your job.
Right. Two things, and I want to get off the hospitality. Two things is like, well, when you provide a service that doesn't do the New York thing, people are going to be, oh, they're different. Oh, they're different. And when you have a difference, that's when people understand and know you and recognize it and remember. And the second thing was, you've been verbally abused. I was thinking like, okay, someone called you idiot or retard, and my whole time you're telling me that I'm thinking of this joke where it's just like, yeah, and that's after I stopped talking to my dad, family business.
Yeah. But it is, we'll get off of it, but it is one of those things where I have noticed, to your point, what you're saying is just because at my restaurant, it's very expensive. So like we hold all the employees to this much higher standard. And so if someone says not my job, we literally send them home for the night.
Yeah, everything's everyone's job.
And if they go, that's not my job, we go, you can go ahead and clock out now. Like, that's not how we run this thing.
Right.
But again, to your point, that's why we win every year, because we're owned by a bigger corporation. And every year we're either winning or in the top 2 of highest reviewed, highest ranked restaurant
Yeah.
because you treat it differently.
That stuff matters. And
Yeah.
it does.
There are some places where I will go to your point, where the food is so good that I'm like, I know the service sucks, but the food is really good, so I'll deal with it, or it's really cheap, or whatever. Those places are so few and far between. There's so many times I go into a place, and my wife and I do this now, because I'm just over it in New York. So like if we walk in and if someone doesn't greet us, at least like, hey, I'll be right with you. Or if they have like if they come up and they're like, yeah, give us a second. I'm like, yeah, we'll just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. There's literally 6 more restaurants on this block.
The competition is
Don't
3
give a
steps
shit.
away. Yeah.
Like, your food's not that good. Let's talk about you.
Yes.
So you had mentioned this, and this is something that is kind of a motif on the show about going to an open mic, seeing someone perform and being like, that doesn't look so hard. Was that your experience with getting into comedy? I want to talk about how you even got to the point of doing stand-up in New York.
Right. It's a really interesting story. I mean, obviously I'm so interesting. But
You haven't heard?
I haven't heard. I don't have that
That's going to be
particular
the title
experience.
of the episode. I'm so interested.
Have guests on that doesn't post at all. Like, oh, you haven't heard?
I have so many people, because I do a Tales from the Restaurant for this
Right.
podcast where I talk about the celebrities I've waited on, and it's on my Patreon through behind a paywall. And I feel like I spam because I post about it like once a month. And so many people are like, that's a great idea. You should do that. And I'm like, I've been doing that for years. And
Right.
they're like, oh, I had no idea.
No idea. Oh my God.
I'm like, cool.
My comedy journey involves that story, but really it starts in college.
Okay.
I was the president of a fraternity.
Yes, you were.
Theta Tau. Professional engineering, co-ed engineering fraternity.
Oh, really?
Professional co-ed engineering fraternity.
Okay.
So it's like nerds that like did engineering were like, but we kind of like to drink a little bit.
Where did you go to college?
I went to Rutgers.
Okay.
State University in New Jersey. Go Scarlet Knights. I'm going to point to the camera and say
Yeah,
that.
do it.
And then they're going to lose by 30 at the next football game. Home of the Scarlet Knights. Birthplace of college football, by the way.
I know that.
You know, we beat Princeton like 13-7 150 years ago.
People were like, here we go.
And that's our only notable thing in the game.
It is. Coming from the South, it was crazy when I moved to New York because no one from the Northeast goes to school in the Northeast unless it's like Rutgers or some school I've never heard
Right.
of.
Their local state school or
Yeah.
some other like thing you
Because
never
like
heard of.
in Florida, it's like, oh, University of Florida, Miami, Central Florida, South Florida, Florida
Right,
State.
right.
And then I moved, my wife is from Boston, the area. And I was like, oh, where'd you go? And she was like, Delaware. And I'm like, what? My brother went to Michigan. And I'm like, what?
You're thinking like, what the fuck is a Drexel? Like,
Yeah.
that's
Florida.
not real.
I think a president went there one time.
Some of the universities seem like Scrabble word
Yeah,
puzzles,
exactly.
You know?
So you go to Rutgers, big
So
school,
I go to Rutgers,
shout
big
out.
school, shout out. And I don't really, I think like, oh, I like comedy, I like watching comedy, but I'm never like this, like, oh, I need to do it. Until my senior year.
Okay.
As president of fraternity, I have to kind of participate in a lot of the fraternity events.
Yeah, I would assume all.
You know, you'd think so. And then we had this pageant alongside the engineering sorority, and they were like, all right, it's a great idea, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, okay, but as president, you have to participate in the pageant. And I'm like, okay. And a part of that is you need a talent portion. And I didn't know shit, okay? I was like learning how to play guitar. I'm like, this isn't gonna work in a month.
Like a week before, you're like, I'll figure it out.
This is.
What kind of engineering were you?
I was electrical and computer engineering.
Okay.
So I work as a software engineer by day. So
You're going to help us take down Skynet.
Oh, finally. Oh, my God. Just one pull request. That's all I need. And then in this pageant, the talent portion, I'm like, all right, let me just do stand-up. Like, I just do 5 minutes. I wrote it down, and it was weird because, like, they gave you a podium, and I still have the video. And I watched it. It's so cringe. It's so cringe to me.
So good.
Apparently, it was, oh, that was pretty good. And I'm watching it back, and I'm like, no.
In the moment that you were like, oh,
I was like, fine. There was another person who did stand up, and I only had that compared to that. And I was just like, I think I did a little better. So that's all I needed.
They bombed.
I don't know. It's a weird setup to do
Yeah,
comedy
that's true, yeah.
in the beginning. But I was like, oh, okay, I think I did this well. And then I was like, ooh, that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I didn't start doing mics. I went to take a class.
Okay, that's
took
that's a huge way to get in.
I started
Because
working.
obviously, if you were thinking like, I wanted to do this, I don't know where to start.
Right.
Just go to a class.
And they have varying degrees of scamminess and worthwhileness. But when you're me,
Scamminess is a great way
oh
to
my
put it.
God, such a crazy.
Some of
affair.
them, I remember when I just a little aside, when I first moved here, there was a booker at a very big club, not one of the main ones, but a pretty big club, and they were like, a friend of mine was into that club, and I was like, hey, can you put in a word for me? And they were like, yeah, sure, no problem. And then the booker emailed me, and he goes, yeah, we'll put you on like the new talent showcase if you can get 5 or 6 people to sign up for the Zoom class for comedy, because it was just after COVID, so they were still doing Zoom classes. They're like, you live in Florida, you moved here from Florida, like you know a bunch of comedians. And I was like, yeah, I know comedians who professionally tour the Southeast who are not going to pay $800 for a Zoom class.
No.
And they're like, well, if you can get 7 people to sign up, we'll let you do the new talent showcase. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Oh yeah, no, just generate me $3,000 in revenue, please. Yeah. No, just like maybe, and then I'll give you 5 minutes. Oh,
and then I'll never talk to you again.
Exactly. It's so crazy.
Which do you want to shout out? Which class did you do?
I took Manhattan Comedy School.
Okay.
Which was that. What was that guy's name? Andy Engel.
Okay.
Ran it, and I think it was like a good intro, but it was like. Clearly, I just got a job working in New York City. I have money. I don't know what anything means. Like, this is my first like paying job, so I'm like, money doesn't mean anything. Fuck it. Here's $400, and I take these classes, and it was like good. And then they had the graduation show, and I was like, okay, this is how I get into it. And then I think after the graduation show, that was like 3 days before that clip of Rudy Gobert touching all of the microphones.
Yeah, March 12th.
Comes out,
Yeah.
And I was just like. Something's off, and then the world ends, and I'm like, okay, well, the thing I wanted to do is gone, so I moved, leases up, moved back to my parents. And
where are you originally from?
So I was born in Brooklyn.
Okay.
When I was 3 years old, my parents moved us to the Jersey Shore.
Okay.
So I grew up on the Jersey Shore.
So you moved back to Jersey.
Yeah, exactly. And I grew up there. I was in my childhood home. I was like living the dream. I was working from home. I was playing, so much video games with all my friends online.
Skyrim all day.
Oh my God, Counter-Strike. I was
Dude,
like LEM.
Counter-Strike?
Yeah.
I played the original Counter-Strike on PC.
Oh man,
I'm much older than you. But
it's okay. It was like Counter-Strike Go, and
before we even knew
great.
what lag was, I was on Counter-Strike.
You were playing in LAN parties,
dude.
You were living it. You were
Halo
living
on the
it.
original Xbox, where you get all the TVs
line
in
them
one
up.
room. And
we had that experience in freshman year. It was one of the greatest nights of my life.
It's so much fun. You're screen watching. No, I'm not.
No. We were in different rooms too. It was so fun.
Just get those 50-foot cables.
Oh my
Come
God.
on. So you moved back home. Right. And then what ends up happening to where you got back? Because you guys were shut down for a long time compared to where we
so
were.
like things were just shut down. So I was like, all right, I just forgot. Right. I was like, and then 6 months in, I'm like, I still want to do it. I started looking around like Mike's in Jersey, and I'll drive like an hour 15 sometimes just to do a 5 minutes at an open mic with 6 other people.
Yeah.
At like the Comedy Cove in wherever, New Jersey. Yeah. And then there was this one place, the Brighton Bar, which was in Long Branch, which was like 10 minutes away. So I was like, oh my God, thank God. I went there almost every week, and the bar shut down, but like I was like, okay, this is what miking is like. And then I think March of 2021, me and my roommate had found a lease that were like, let's take this. I live in Manhattan. I move in.
That's when we met. Because I moved in July of 2021.
Right. And I was like, oh, let me look at open mics. Oh, there's this place called Cellar 77.
Yeah.
And then that was 5 years ago. And that's crazy to say.
Can you believe how long ago that was?
It feels
I still feel like
insane.
I just moved here.
I do not. So when people say like, oh, how does your career feel like? Or how does like even the club feel like? It feels like it both started yesterday and has been something I've been doing since birth.
Yeah.
And none of it
That's
feels
a great
like,
way to put it.
none of it feels like, oh, you started comedy 5 years ago. Yes, that's the correct timeline and how it feels. Some parts of it feel like I'll be writing a joke and like in my writing session, and I'm like, this is shit. I've never done comedy before. I started yesterday, and then I'll go on, and then it's like I'll go on stage, or I'll just be talking to someone. And
Throwaway line, and you're like, and then boom, and you're like, I'm so fucking funny.
I'm a genius. What do you mean? And then
have you ever done the thing where you've written a bit being like, this will change comedy, and then it bombs?
Of course,
I've done that so many times.
Of course, we all do it. It's all comedy
so
experience.
smart. It's so meta, and it's so funny, and then you do it, and nobody gets it, and you're like,
oh my God,
I'm gonna go kill.
My biggest struggle is, and especially when coming up through those mics and Rutgers or whatever, it's just like I write something down and I go on the stage and I practice and I just don't say it correctly.
Yeah.
And it's just not the correct performance.
And then you get off stage and you go, it didn't work because there's 3 words that I left out.
Right. Or
which were imperative to the misdirect of the joke.
Or I'm coming off stage and I'm like, I felt like a nervous wreck.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling like a nervous wreck, I probably was giving off nervous wreck energy.
There are so many times I have a monster set on the way to the set. where I'm like doing it in my head. I'm like, yeah, say this. This is really funny. Don't forget to add in this tag that you wrote down and you keep forgetting to add in. Like, yeah, we're going to go from this joke to that joke. Perfect transition. And then I get there and I'm like, I just do my tight five and I'm like, you fucking idiot.
Yeah. Overcoming that has been something I really appreciated, but like, that's where the difference comes. Year 1 to year 5, it's like, yeah, I'm writing better. I'm doing more, but like just the idea I can lock in and really focus and be more mindful of what I'm saying, that is the skill that I think separates the new from the
well, and it's the comfortability on stage, to your point, because there's so many people where, especially because I still go to a lot of mics because I need stage time. And, and I work on the weekends because I work in a restaurant. And a lot of people are like, you have to quit that job. And it's like, yeah, but I make my rent in a weekend. And I didn't meet Liz and Sam and like all these major players in comedy from going to open mics. I met them because they're regulars at my restaurant.
Yeah, do not listen to that
I'm not leaving.
Don't listen to that person who's like, you have to quit everything right now to commit to it. And I'm like
Leo DiCaprio on the Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not fucking leaving.
The people, by the way, it's like, oh, just quit tomorrow. And it's like, if that works out, it's because, hey, there's just the one randomness or there's a familial connection or things that no one's going to tell you.
Yeah.
Right? So the long, like, term plan is the safest and most like doable because
that's the thing, because nobody's gonna fire me from comedy,
right?
So it's like if I can still pay my bills, and so many people in my life are like, oh, comedy's gonna have to take a back seat because you're having a baby, and I'm like, how come nobody says the restaurant's gonna have to take a back seat?
Right,
I only work 3 days a week at the restaurant and I make more than enough to cover my end of the bills. Like, I think I'm gonna be fine.
Yep. There was a thought, which is like from another owner. He's out of state, but he's just like, look, when you open the comedy club, your comedy itself is not, you're not going to be able to focus on it. And like, yes and no, but like I could still write jokes and perform, and everything's gotten better since then. Like, you can't think of things as if, oh, I committed to something, thus I have to.
It's not a zero-sum game.
Right.
It's not.
It means I lose everything else.
I lose B. Yeah.
And genuinely, I feel like I operate with this mentality, which is just say yes to things, put yourself in situations, and go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to potentially not just miss out, but like you'll never really understand how good you are at something or how much you can accomplish unless you push yourself. Unless 100%. You get a little uncomfortable.
That's the thing, is that you can only grow when you're uncomfortable.
Right. And which is why I'm giving you this opportunity to put this over funk music and then vertical clip this so that you can put this out to millions of views from 19-year-olds being like, that's why I should drop out of college right now.
Yeah.
Emery doesn't understand.
Gotta go for it. So you end up doing that. You do the show, the graduation show, goes pretty well, and then you start doing the mics when you move to Manhattan. Mm-hmm. What was the precipice? And then I want to get into some of the stories, but what was the precipice for you to get the club? Was you were explaining earlier that you were kind of just like, I could just do this myself?
Right. That's a great question because
financially it's a huge commitment.
Oh yeah. First off, is I work the day as a software engineer. You know, I'm saving money. I'm thinking to myself like, all right, this is going to go towards some comedic thing. Mm-hmm. I had no idea what that would be.
Whether it's a special or
show or sketch
or whatever,
like I had no idea. I have no idea what it's going to be towards. So I'd always had that in the back of my mind. And then in the day, like the real goal was like writing more, getting better, doing mics. Like that first year, it's just like mic, whatever. This is what I do all day. And like after work, it's like I try and fit as many mics as I can because you just like trying.
You have to get the reps,
and it is fun.
Yeah.
Like it's fun to talk to people going around. It's like, I'm getting back home. It's
I realized
11, 12, 1 o'clock.
The only people that not the only, because only Sith deals in absolutes, but one of. Like I was talking to my wife about this the other day because she has so many friends. She's still friends with her middle school friends and high school friends and college friends. And like they all have their groups and they all like still have group chats and all still get together once a year. I have people I would take a bullet for that I love dearly that I talk to once every 6 months.
Yeah.
The only people that I like hanging out with are people in sobriety and comics. Because I was thinking about it the other day because we decided to get married at the courthouse. And one of the big reasons was she has all these friends that she wanted to invite. And in my head, I'm going through my Rolodex and I'm like, yeah, it's going to be like 6 friends and then comics.
Right.
And I was like, I love it, but also, what are we doing? Like, I'm going to have all these like tertiary friends and acquaintances just because we hang out all the time. But that's the thing is I'll hang out with her friends who are normal, like civilians. And I'll say, and you try to be gregarious in the life of the party, which is something we're good at naturally because of the comedy stuff. And I'm an introvert by nature, but when I'm around people, I'm on.
Right.
But then I'll say something that's fucking hilarious to me. not to them.
Yikes.
And I'm like,
Ugh.
yeah, maybe I do get along better with comics.
Oh, that's so fun. But yeah, so that experience was that first year. You're like, I just need to learn, just
hanging with the comics, doing the mics,
and get better. Understand what I am. Second year, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm trying to get more shows. That's when I jumped into production.
Yeah,
I started producing at like St. Mark's. I used to actually produce at the club that shall not be named in Lower Manhattan. Piece, you know.
Yep, I know that club.
Jeez.
I never went there. I went there for a couple open mics back in the day.
I produced 2 brunch shows with Dr. D. Dr. D. Sai, and then they screwed her, and then we were like, all right, I'm never dealing with this place ever again.
I went there for some open mics back when a very funny comedian, she was running the New Joke Wednesday, and that was like, it was at the time for that stretch, it was the most fun mic in the city.
Really?
Because you would come with, if you didn't come with new shit, we would all let you know. Oh. Or if you tried something in a bomb, but you went, it's a new joke, we'd all scream, New Joke Wednesday!
Enforcement of that is so nice.
And it was so much fun for probably 6 months. And then it kind of got infiltrated by the influencer comedians. And they were like too cool for school, and they would sit in the back and they wouldn't participate in like what we were doing. And so then I just stopped going. But I say all that to say, like, I would talk to the owner to be like, hey, I'm pretty good at this. Like, I see the people on the lineups. Like, I think I'm at that same kind of skill level. Like, can I get a shot? And it was always like backdoor dealings and like giving me the runaround. And, well, if you want to bark and bartend for free, then I might put you up. And I was like, oh, fuck this guy.
Right. You hit actually one of the reasons that we started, like in my personal view, which was that year 3, I'm starting to produce more. I'm like, I'm putting all this work to get in one show every month and scrap around whatever bar shows I can. I'm neglecting to message every single person who exists and befriend this and this. I'm like, there's got to be a different way for my own self to get more stage time, but also like just the way things are operating feels friction filled and transactional. And
100%.
And I'm just like, this can't be.
This can't be the right way.
This can't be the right way. Also, there's got to be an opportunity here. Yeah. I wonder if a club, if a comedy club or institution or whatever didn't do these things, I wonder if there's opportunity there. And that's where I first kind of thought to myself, okay, maybe like I have to go beyond production. I have to find a venue. I have to do these things. And I had that thought like through year 3, and I'm like, you know, it's a lot of work. I have my day job. I have my family. I have this. I'm like, all right, I'm not just going to solo this thing. So I was always just like back of my head, be on the lookout and, you know, save this money for that. Right. And that's when Jad comes in from Philly. He moves in. This is like 3.5 years, 4 years. This is almost like 2 years ago, 2024. And I literally I saw him at a couple mics. So I was like, yeah, you know, this guy writes a lot. It's really cool. And he has this like really edgy side to his comedy and his personal experiences. And I'm like, I like this guy. Right. And then I see on his story that's just like, I think he's like, oh, I offered to like cut clips, which is the weird transactional thing. Yeah. I have all this experience, blah, blah, blah. And like the club, this club doesn't respond or do anything. And I'm like, and I see him putting out these clips. So it's like, oh, he's getting like traction and views. So I'm like, is that not what they would want? Even the transactional nature of this whole thing is falling apart. Let me message this guy. I wonder what he has to say. And he's just like, yep, I want to open my own club. And I'm like, oh, well, I want to open my own club.
Funny you mention that.
And, you know, we grabbed coffee a couple times. We're planning it out. I'm like, this is very doable. We'd seen Sesh kind of have success. We'd seen Grove 34 have success.
Yep.
So I'm like, we're not the first players in this space. So let's take a stab. Like, what do we need to do? And, you know, we set up the LLC. We bring on Kyle at that point. We have this whole, like, multi-month journey to try and, like, okay, can this work? What's this? What are we going to find? We found the perfect space of a fucking Jad running around the streets and Craigslisting.
Yeah.
You know, and it was, like, a dream because the landlord was really into the idea. He had a place that was fully demoed that he couldn't do anything else with because it was, like, 4 delis in a row that had come up and failed. And up and down and up and down.
Well, and it is one of those things, too, where as the landlord, you're kind of like, yeah, I don't want to have to do all of the work. So if you get 3-4 people who are hungry, who are like, hey, we'll do everything. We just want the space.
Right. You're making money off of the renters above. Like, you're probably covering mortgage. This is an unproductive space that's retail
you're
zone.
Bleeding money. Yeah.
You can't, like, you have empty retail. You can't just make that a bedroom.
Yeah.
You can't just also make that a restaurant.
Just floor to ceiling windows. There's someone trying to go to bed.
Right. No. I'll just make it a restaurant. Okay, you want to spend 6 figures on not even the actual restaurant, just the components, the
and
infrastructure.
have razor thin profit margins.
Right. Like, oh yeah. Also, here's a gun if you want to.
Yeah. One person sends the steak back, and you're like, I'm ruined.
That's it. So like the landlord was in a situation where it's like we came in with a great business idea that could fit the space. We spec'd it out, and he's like, "Great, I'll have
super
a
low
contractor."
overhead compared to other retail businesses.
Oh my
too.
god! And it's such a unique opportunity because the neighborhood hasn't really had anything so focused around as a venue where comedy, right?
Yeah.
There have been so many bar shows. Like there's a history of bar shows and independent shows and rooftop shows and all these things in the Bushwick area, which is fantastic.
But there's no comedy club.
Exactly. So that's we scoped the space. We were originally looking like other parts of like South Brooklyn, like not like south below the park, but like around the park and near it, like maybe Clinton Hill, maybe this places, but like this was too perfect. So we're like, all right, Bushwick, what do they call it? It's a comedy club in Bushwick Comedy Club.
Boom.
We did all this stuff. We put it together, and it took like a few months because the landlords like dealing with the contractor, and they're like, oh, we're not starting the lease till September. So we had all this like rumination time and figure out like what did we want, like what is our comedy philosophy, what is our philosophy on how we operate, and
mission statement.
Right,
yeah,
exactly. And our statement was basically, look, we are a non-transactional like. In the sense of, like I know this guy, he's really good. I'm gonna this person let me do this thing.
Yeah.
And like someone reached out to me, and was like, oh, we'll spot trade with you, and I was just like,
you can go
off.
fuck yourself.
I didn't say like fuck off, but I was
yeah.
like, fuck off, dude.
Yeah.
Like this is. The product I want to put out would be worse with this as a practice. We're not doing this.
Well, especially too because you get like we've all done bringers.
Yeah.
And you get these people who are on a ton of bringers because they grew up in New York and they have a ton of friends and they're so fucking bad.
Or it's just like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Like, why is this still being perpetuated?
I've had my wife come to shows early on, like when we first met, because I was like, yeah, you come, bring some of your friends. And halfway through the show, I'm like, I shouldn't have. This was a bad idea. Because now a lot of them, this is the first time they're going to see stand-up comedy. And they're like,
right,
this is terrible.
Right. And why is this the entry for a lot of people? Why is this the first experience they have with comedy? At the very least, like, someone's first experience should be like a designated, this is a comedy show.
Yeah.
Like showcase if ideal, if it's good comics selected, but if it's like a headliner that's really good, fine. Like that makes sense too. But we want to say like, look, we want to build a showcase style comedy club where we, the owners, simply look at the talent, evaluate it, and if there's unanimity, say yes.
Yeah.
There's no like, oh, I have 3
Which
friends.
sounds so open and shut, but it's not how any club in the city works. Even the biggest clubs, you need recs to get into the club.
And I think honestly, like that is a fair point, especially when you have the brand and like if the Comedy Cellar said tomorrow, oh, open submissions, here's the link, they would get flooded.
Yeah.
But that rec system is always precluded by, well, I'm still gonna watch you and hold a gun to your head and make sure that you can do this.
Well, and that's the other thing. I mean, obviously, like you said, with the brand, like at the Cellar, it's a big thing. You have to have 2 recs.
And the amount of revenue that it can generate off of that.
And also, though, people at the Cellar, because being passed at the Cellar is the credit. That's what, if you're a Cellar comic, you are considered one of the best comedians in the world. And nobody will put that at risk for someone they did not absolutely trust was going to crush in front of Esther.
But that is a brand and recognition that they have built over decades.
Exactly.
Like I do want to stress, and people forget that like that takes real effort and
60
sustained
years.
effort to do.
Whatever it's been.
It's like, there's a reason why, and there's reasons why other clubs have fallen off in that respect. They didn't focus on that. They let it go by the wayside, and which is a shame, but honestly, that's how business works. Yeah. Sears used to be the biggest game in town.
Sears and Roebuck.
And you could buy a house on Sears, and now it doesn't exist.
I remember going to Chicago, and one of the biggest buildings in Chicago, they were like, oh, this was a warehouse and factory. Like, they did everything in one. So it's the offices, the warehouse, and the factory for a catalog service. And it's literally the biggest building on the river, like, size-wise, as far as how much space it takes up. And I was like, I've never even heard of that catalog. And I'm almost 40, so it's like, it wasn't that long ago. But to your point, it's like the market shifts, and you have to keep up.
Right. Exactly. Now, so starting the club was essentially this idea of, okay, I think we could do this better. This is my philosophy. This is Jad's philosophy. And we understand the you need to build a good experience for people, right? Friction filled is not good. Feeling the vibe is off is not good, whatever you can determine that means. But also, like, being told there's a 2-drink minimum is now becoming a dead business. Like, you don't have to do it this way. You can build a good experience for people. You can be BYOB. You can be lean. This business model does work.
Yeah.
And to now think that you don't have to operate a comedy club in that style has opened the floodgates for us and other people to try similarly.
Stan was the first club I ever went to that had that model where they're like, buy shit if you want, don't buy shit if you want.
Right.
You paid for the ticket, go see the show.
Right.
And I have noticed that, I mean, obviously with them it's different because it's a full restaurant and they have a liquor license, but people tend to order more when they're not told that you have to order 2 things.
They'll tend to order more. They're also order more genuinely.
Yeah.
Like there's a place where it's like 2 drink. Okay, can I get the 2 of the cheapest thing possible?
Yeah.
And they give them 2 water bottles and they're like, great, thank you. And then they're leaving and we're like, oh, it's fine. But they constantly think of, but I spent $10 on water, but I spent $10 on water, but I spent and they're not going to come back with that in their mind unless it was a super amazing show. And even us, it's like, we have good shows. We have great shows. We have fantastic shows. But like, to say like, oh, if it's not a fantastic show, the audience should not feel like they had a bad experience.
Yeah, and also the detriment that comes with going in someone's pocket, because there are shows where, again, I've done shows and they're not great shows and they're at clubs where there's a 2-drink minimum and the drinks aren't cheap. So now you have people paying $25 for a ticket. Now you're paying $12 per drink. You have to get at least 2 of them. So that's $50 before tip, before tax, before anything. And it's like, I could go see fucking Shane Gillis 2 years ago for less than that.
Right.
Obviously not now, but like,
yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I've been to shows at the Beacon for less than that. I've been to shows at the Beacon where my tickets were like around $48 a piece.
Right. And I love a good theater, but it's a totally different experience.
Yeah.
It is a different experience to being in a club in a closer, intimate setting.
Yeah, 100%.
And so that's a part of that's like a lot of the philosophy of the club is like, we think that there's a gap in the market. We think that our customers are not being served well or well enough. We think that comedian pipelines are broken, right? There's no real way for clubs in New York City to open themselves and scale to the amount of talent that's here. When we've said like, look, send in your tape. If it's shit, I'm not going to, you're not getting booked.
Yeah.
That's it. And honestly, like, I
It's
will
a
watch a
meritocracy.
tape, but I'll watch a tape 20 seconds in and honestly have a real evaluation. I'm like, oh, no.
You will
have that evaluation.
You can so tell.
You can so tell. But then there are people who are like, oh, yes. And then there's people I like spend a little extra time. But just the idea that I, every month, like, designate, hey, let's watch these tapes. There's no existence of it, at least in my mind, that is taking proper advantage of the talent pool.
Yeah.
And
there's so many people where I see that I'm at a mic and I go, this is one of the funniest fucking people I've ever seen in my life, but they don't like social media or they just don't post a lot. So it's like, no one will ever know that.
Well, why? Yeah, and then why am I as the venue not exploiting that?
Exactly.
And I will use the word I am exploiting the idea that New York has so many good fucking people in stand-up. I am exploiting that fact. I'm exploiting the talent pool and getting fantastic comics for what you could say
pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, pennies on the dollar. It's just like, they're right here.
Yeah.
They're right here.
And they want to perform.
Right.
It's just some of them don't want to cut clips. Some of them don't want to do social media. Some of them do social media, but they just don't get caught up on the algorithm.
Right. And it's like, I don't need an agent to tell me someone's funny.
Yeah.
I don't need someone in my email telling me, oh, go check out this thing. That same person already knows themselves to be funny, and if they reach out to me, I will look at them.
Yeah.
Like there has to be a change in mentality.
Fucking more.
I know. It's
I'm gonna clip that, and then people are gonna be like, Bushwick Comedy Club.
If you're local to New York City, bushwickcomedy.com/contact. It's the form is right at the top, and I get a little entry in a Google Drive, and I get an email and blah blah blah, and like we review it, right?
Yeah.
But it was always a crazy thing to me. I would be going to open mics and be like, this guy is hilarious. This is the funniest woman I've ever seen in my entire life. And I talk to them like, oh my God, yeah, I'm doing comedy. And like,
I might do a bar show next month. And you're like, why are you not up all the time?
Why are you not like a regular at a club?
Yeah.
Like, why is this, why are you talking to me? Like,
do you want to be a regular at a club?
Yeah. And I'm like, but also it's like that's where I think any business will be formed around a gap.
Yeah.
Any business can be formed around a gap. This neighborhood doesn't have an Italian restaurant. That's a gap. This neighborhood doesn't have a comedy club. That's a gap. The other businesses around you don't do the curation that you do. That's a gap. Any business tries to fill in a gap that provides a service to people that gets
There's so many clubs on McDougal that make their money because when the seller sells out,
they're right there. They're available.
Hey.
Oh, you want to see comedy tonight? Look, sorry, you couldn't get a seller. Which is a valid business.
Yeah. No,
and it works well.
Until they open that bigger space.
Right. That was a questionable move. I feel unfortunate. It's like I look at that and I feel bad because, it's I hate to see a comedy institution or any sort of comedy venue go through like a weird situation like that. But if you asked me, if they came to me for advice, I'd be like, this is probably not going to be a good idea.
Well, they're gonna try to film the specials and stuff there.
Good luck. I mean, good luck. I appreciate it. It's a lot of seats to fill, and it's a weird room set up. I know we're.
I haven't seen. But let's talk about. So we got comedy, we got how you opened the club. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about you personally.
Sure.
So when we were talking before you came on the show, you were like, well, I was kind of a goody two-shoes growing up. When was the first time you actually drank, like got drunk?
Got drunk was probably college.
Okay.
Right? It was
so high school, you were just keeping the grades right, doing the right thing?
I went to Jewish day school.
Yeah, you did.
I was like 8 o'clock for prayer, getting out at 6 o'clock. Like doing well in classes, and I was like, yeah, whatever, blah blah. And then I go to college, and I realized,
and not just you don't go to like a Jewish small college.
I go to
Rutgers,
the State University of New Jersey. Like there's kinds of Jews I didn't even know about. Like you're like, oh my god, like you went to a different diverse place, and I'm like, yeah, did you know what a reconstruction is Jewish? And they're gonna be like, what the fuck are you? I thought you said like, oh, you found your first black friend. I'm like. And I'm like, yes, but also. Shout out to Dapo, by the way.
Shout
out. But like that was a little bit of like a culture shock, but it was like one I really wanted. I was like seeking it out, which is like I just want to see other kinds of people. And
on campus or off campus your first year?
My first 2 years I was on campus.
So what is that like coming from? Like, I mean, you grew up on the Jersey Shore, but still, this is the thing I'm used to. Like all of the colleges, big universities in Florida are all like minimum like 50, 60,000 people. And then again, to what we were talking about earlier, there's so many colleges and schools up here that are like 3,000. And you're like, my high school was bigger than that. What's it like for you to show up, huge public university, first week? Are you intimidated? Are you scared? Do you just off the rails immediately? Like what happens?
I think at the end of senior year of high school, I started to make this transition to being more gregarious and like outgoing. And that first day at college was when it clicked for me. Like, oh, I like people. Yeah. I like there being a lot of new and different people. And I immediately like jumped in. I was talking. I was trying to hang out. intro engineering. We'll go grab lunch later. We'll do all these things. And to me, that was the moment where I realized I love conversation and discussion. So from the get-go,
that's awesome.
I intended to be like, I'm going to this big university. I'm going to talk to as many people as I can.
That's the way to do it too. Is because I remember because I got bullied in high school. And when I first showed up to college, I was like, I'm changing my life. I'm not going to be that guy anymore. I hit my growth spurt. I'm playing college football here.
Right.
Like I'm doing the thing. And I remember, I say this all the time, the first 2 years I was in college when I was playing football and staying in shape before my alcoholism got really bad, I was like, this is the greatest time ever. Like you have so many friends and everyone's just hanging out.
And they're right next to you.
Doing the things, man.
Yeah, and it was fun.
What was the first party like? Like or the first time you guys were drinking? Was it in the dorm room or did you go somewhere? What happened?
Yeah, we were in the dorm rooms as freshman dorms. I had lived in one different dorm building than where I was in an honors engineering program, and I lived in a different dormitory, so I'd have to commute if I ever wanted to hang out with these guys,
these nerds,
and these lovely ladies. And we would drink in the dorm, just like in a freshman dorm. You'd hide it from the RA because the RA can't.
The RA might find out.
She's like, oh my God, you have weed? That's so crazy. You have weed.
We gotta be quiet.
I'm quiet.
Trevor, shut up. You're gonna get us in trouble.
It was so, but that was like fun. It was like trying to surf underneath. And at first I was like, ooh, I'll have a shot. Whoa, look at me. And it kind of just accelerated, like, oh, this person having a party in the room. And now it's like, oh, we're going to play some Counter-Strike and drink a bit. And then, like, it became a camaraderie around, just like, this is the hangout spot. You're in a shitty dorm room with 2 double beds in a single space for 2 people. you gotta make
gotta do
friends.
something.
You gotta do something. You gotta do something. Gotta make friends. Gotta have some fun. And that's that environment was key, because I feel like I could reach out to any one of those people, and I do keep in touch with a good amount of them, and be like, oh, hey, how's it been? Or even better, like, oh, yeah, I have a connection now for a startup idea or like a business idea you want to talk about.
Those are the people, when I mentioned earlier, I have like 6 or 7 people where it's like I take a bullet for them, but I don't talk very often. It's all, for the most part, it's all the people from college.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I love some of those people, like more than anything, because it is one of those things where it's like, oh, yeah, we were in it every day. You see them, you're drinking, you're partying, you're having a good time. There's some high highs and there's some super low lows. When someone does something fucking stupid, like throws up in the middle of the hallway during a party when you're trying to talk to this girl, and you're like, the fuck, Dan?
Oh my God. This is the nerdiest thing. We had like a bid, like midterm or a final or something, and we're all trudging back. I think it's like Circuits 2, whatever that class was. And we come into the dorm room.
Circuits too.
Right. And we're like, oh man, like that sucked. Everyone thinks like they failed. And we go and we start drinking at the party. And then someone says like, oh, they're releasing the scores tonight. I'm like, what? Like, oh my God. And like, I'm 3 drinks in. I'm going to get sloshed. Because how else can I take the news?
You're going to fail and you're going to be like,
And everyone's like, oh, scores are out. I look at it and it says I got a 44 out of 100. And I'm just like, oh my God. Oh my God, it's over. What'd you get? Oh, I got a 33. Oh, I got a 36. Oh,
thanks for coming out.
I got a 4. And I'm like, wait a minute. I got the second highest score here, and I keep drinking. I'm having a great time. I'm like, wow, I'm a genius.
You idiots.
And then he's like, okay, the average was 42, and we're going to curve based off of that. And I'm just like, yes, let's go.
And you got a 44.
And I was like slightly above average. I was like, yes. I got a B in that class.
There you go.
And I was like, hell yeah, this is going to mean nothing, because I did not touch circus ever again in my life.
I remember I had so many times, especially around finals, is you would plan what you were going to do based on your friend's finals.
Yeah.
So I remember like my buddy, the original drinking buddy, the person, the one of the minds behind how the show even got started. He's been on the show before. Daniel Barricat, my best friend from college. I remember he was a year ahead of me. So he had his senior accounting final. And I had taken my finals on Monday. His final was on Tuesday. Monday night, I go to his apartment, and I'm like, come on. And he's like, dude, I'm not doing it. I have this huge test.
Right.
And I think I talked him in. He was like, I'll have like a couple. We ended up drinking like the whole night.
Wow.
He crushes the final, so it was fine. Because I knew in my head, I was like, dude, you love accounting. You're going to crush this.
You're going to crush
Who
it.
cares?
Right.
And it was so fun, just the idea of that, like trying to coerce someone into drinking.
Oh my
A
God.
night before their senior final in their biggest class.
And but like it's like I look at that, I'm like, we shouldn't be doing this. Like we shouldn't be this isn't some way I shouldn't be getting this news through the bottle, like a Svedka bottle.
Yeah.
Right? That's
Svedka.
not
That was the classic.
And it's like this shouldn't be happening. And I look back at that and I'm like, it was weird. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But as a college student, and when it's the social norm, it's like, no, yeah, we have to drink about it.
Because I remember scheduling 8 a.m. classes when I was like a freshman, sophomore, thinking like, oh, I just want to get it out of the way.
Right.
And I was playing college football at the time, so I wasn't drinking nearly as much. Like, we'd go hard 2 days a week, but then we had practice and everything.
Right.
And I remember one of the classes was Tuesday, Thursday, 8 a.m., 3 hours, 2 days a week. And I remember our go out night was Wednesday because we had walkthroughs on Thursday. And I remember showing up to that class drunk 9 out of 10 times, like just walking in like, why? Like showing
Like
up 20
level,
minutes late,
yeah.
just walking dead. And dude, it was looking back on it, we're like, such a good time.
Right,
So
right.
much
No,
fun.
so fun. And if I felt that way tomorrow, I'd be like, okay, when do I make my doctor's appointment?
There are so many times now, because I've been sober for almost 8 years. There's so many times now where I'll get sick. I don't get sick often, but when I do, I'm like, how did I feel like shit every day?
Yeah.
Like I get a little bit of the flu and I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out. No.
I used to go into work, take an order, throw up in the bathroom, put the order in the computer, throw up in the bathroom again, and be like, what are we doing after this, guys?
Oh my God. Oh,
So
yeah.
let's talk about your 21st birthday.
Right. Oh gosh.
So this is you're in the frat.
Yes.
Are
I'm
you
like,
president at this time?
Was I president? I think so. I think I was, and I was young because I'd skip first grade when I was younger. So I was very young
I was
for my
gonna say
grade.
it would line up if you were young for your grade.
So it was like senior year. It was like October. Like everyone else basically is 21. So we're all going out together. We all live in a house. It's like 11 guys in one house. And as is tradition in the house, whenever the clock strikes midnight, the person is up on the fire escape holding the champagne, and they open it and they drink it, and it's great. I did that maybe after 10 drinks.
Oh,
So we haven't even left yet. I'm still 9.
So
I'm still 20.
Pre-gaming at 20.
Yeah, I'm still 20. Clock strikes. I'm 21. Let's go out. We go to the bar on the corner.
Logistically, this is a terrible idea.
Horrible idea. I'm sloshed. I'm like being held up by people. One girl's just like, "What? We gotta take a blowjob shot." I'm like, "Yeah." That's one of the last things I remember.
Yeah.
Was sitting in Olive Branch Bar and Restaurant, OB, and seeing them put whipped cream over a drink. Me doing that, and then like
gone, lights out.
Gone. Apparently, and I had to get the
So what I
synopsis.
heard happened.
So what I heard happen, and this is the bad parts of drinking. What I heard happen is I had gone on the shoulders of my friend and chicken fought someone. I had
Not in a pool.
no on the ground.
October in New Jersey.
Right, just I fall and I chicken fought this other person in my frat. I had lost because I ended up on the ground with my shoulder hurt, and I was like, okay, but I didn't know that. And when we went to every bar along our main drag, because at Rutgers, a lot of the bars have it like, oh, you're turning 21. Here's a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Spin the wheel.
Take a shot.
Right.
Do a thing.
Because you do that, and then all of a sudden, 20 other people are going to come along and buy drinks while you're there, while you're doing
Because
the
everyone's
bullshit.
with you.
Right, and it's a fire hazard. Every place is a fire hazard.
As a club owner, you're now like, this is so unsafe.
What's the logistics plan for this place?
One
Has
of
the
my-
fire department approved on this?
One of my favorite lines in the dumbest show, but it's my favorite show, Burn Notice. He's like trying to escape, and he's running through a hotel, and he keeps trying doors, and they're all locked, and he just goes, "This is a fire hazard." That's what that reminded me of. You just going into bars with all these people, and then
Yeah.
the owner looking around, being like, "This is definitely
Oh
not
my
going to
god,
work."
COVID changed so much of that stuff
Oh,
though.
God,
But like
yeah.
now, it's so like back then, this is like 2019. I'm like, we're just bar free item, bar free item, bar free item, bar free item. Eventually, someone carries me back home, and I wake up with a bunch of random ass T-shirts. Another bottle of champagne for some reason I apparently had won.
Busted shoulder.
And just the mayhem in my head, absolute mayhem in my head, and that was the most drunk I've ever been.
Yeah.
It was the most drunk I've ever been. But I look at that night with a sense of never do that again.
Yeah.
But it was nice that a lot of people did enough and cared enough.
That is awesome.
Through the night.
Because there is times, especially because when I stopped playing college football, I kind of dove headfirst into drugs and alcohol, and that's kind of where everything got off the rails.
Right.
And something I learned was there were still some of those people who were like, yeah, but we can't let anything, like, Brennan's not going to take care of himself. We got to take care of him. Which is something where, as sad as it is to say in retrospect, it's also like, man, that's a real true friend. Like, that's when we talk about like the high highs and the low lows in college, it's like some of those lows were me getting so blackout drunk, peeing my pants and passing out like in someone's living room. And they're like, we're going to call the cops. And then a couple of my friends be like, we got him. Don't worry about it. And it's like, that's fucking sweet.
It's sweet. It's nice. It's a level of care that I think, shows a sign of true friendship. I think the next step is like the kind of the harder parts, the intervention and talking about it. And that's where a lot of
those too.
Oh my god.
So I wanted to ask you, when did you stop? Like, because you don't obviously party like that anymore. When did you kind of transition out of that?
I kind of transitioned out of it like more or less after college.
Yeah.
Well, because COVID happened, and there was really not that many like I was a very social drinker. I was like, I'm with other people. I want to drink. I never breached the gap of I'm alone, I want to drink.
Yeah.
So that was, I think, an important distinction I made.
Especially during COVID.
Yeah, especially during COVID. I made a distinction very early on in my life, honestly. And I think that's a thankful to like the education I've had and like, you know, the experiences and hearing like experience of alcoholism, like from an early onset age that not in like in my family necessarily, but like in the community,
Yeah,
in
you
school.
hear TV, movies.
Yeah, and you're
community.
like, I can acknowledge that is it's a very damaging, it has damaging potential. So I always made the thought of like, don't drink alone.
Yeah.
Right. And then as I got out of college and COVID stopped, I was like, well, there's not many opportunities where I'd be drinking with people. So I just kind of stopped drinking. And at that point I was like, yeah, I'm kind of like good. I'll have a wine and that's it.
That's awesome.
And that's
man.
it. And now it's like, it's pretty much at that level where.
Well, now you're a business owner, so you have your job during the day, and then you're
Right.
a business owner at night. So it's like, what am I going to get fucking hammered
Oh,
and
no.
give away like all this shit?
Oh.
Start DMing people like, yeah, let's do your own show here, and
know,
then you wake up the next day and you're like, the fuck did
did
I commit us
do?
to?
I also had a thing where it was like I never wanted to perform while I was on drugs or alcohol.
That's smart, yeah.
And that came about because, you know, the early days of Mike's, there were comics who were up there that I asked, like, oh, man, I'm going to take a drink before I get on stage. And I forget who it was. I think it was, I can't remember the name of who it was, but it was at Cellar 77. They were like, hey, I don't drink before I go on stage because I want to be sharp, but also I never want to build a reliance.
Yeah.
And that was true because it would have helped me in that moment. It would have helped me to calm the nerves if I just had that drink. But then I know I would have been like, if it worked, my
You
brain would be
always
like,
have to have a drink.
You have to
It's
do it every
Pavlovian
time.
at that point.
Yeah.
I had to relearn how to do stand-up when I got sober.
Really?
Because every show I ever did, every mic I ever did, I was fucking wasted.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got sober and I came back into comedy, I was like, I've been doing comedy like on and off for years. Like it's riding a bike. I got it. It was terrifying because I was like, this
Right.
is just me.
You're cognizant.
Yeah.
You understand. You're clear. Your
And
head
now
is
I
clear.
couldn't imagine doing comedy with drinking.
Right.
Because I'm like, I'm pretty good at this.
Right.
Imagine if I got drunk and I was slurring and all fucked up. It would be terrible.
Terrible. And to me, understanding that it's the long road.
Yeah.
It's not the shortcut. The shortcut is to just take that little drink now to help your nerves. That taught me that it is a craft that takes time to work on, to make yourself understand what your shortcomings are, to work on them over time. There is no shortcut. There is nothing that tells you I'm going to be good tomorrow if I just take this magic pill or if I just take this drink.
Just got to keep doing it.
You just keep doing it, and you damn well better make sure you enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
Like, you better enjoy being on that stage. You better enjoy writing, and I love it. But I understand that it's not a love that comes out and then tomorrow it all comes.
Yeah. Well, we've seen so many people quit. And we've seen so many people in positions where you're like, if I had what you had, I'd be through the moon.
Right. People look at me like that. And
Yeah.
and
It's like, you're past at 4 different clubs. Yeah, it's not the Cellar or the Stand, but it's 4 fucking clubs.
you kidding me? If he told me a year or 2 years ago, like someone was like, oh, I got past at 4 clubs and I'm upset. I 2 years ago, I'd have been like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's my goal. That's like,
And then they quit, and you're like, what? And they're like, yeah, well, they're happy now. It's like, well, that means that they weren't in it anymore.
right. Or then there's always the idea of you should always try and see yourself growing and trying to find growth, because that's what incentivizes you to keep going. And I see that at the club every day. There's like so many opportunities.
That's got to be
for
so
growth.
cool to be like, well, and also to see it in other people.
Yes.
Where someone tries a new tag and it hits, and that you can see, because you know it, because you've been in it, you aren't in it. So to see their face being like, fuck yeah.
One of my favorite pipelines for the club is on Tuesdays we do the Comedy Lottery, which was a show that used to be run by Austin and Demetrius at Flophouse. And we basically just took it over from them. And essentially it's, 15 comics now put their name into a bucket, 10 get put onto the show. And there's like audience there. And it's like, do 3 minutes. You'll get judged from judges. If you're your top 3, you get to the last round, you do 1 more minute of joke. And if you win, you get a guest spot that weekend. You get like $70 and you get a post and something like, I'm the winner of the Comedy Lottery, right? And people will do that. They'll do their guest spot. And we've had it maybe 3 or 4 times now. They'll do their guest spot. That will be their tape. They will send us that tape, like Elvis Scanderi won. I think it was like 2 or 3 times.
Elvis, I know Elvis. He's from Florida.
Yeah.
I met him at a Don't Tell in Jacksonville after he had
Really?
lived in Brooklyn for 2 years, and I was like, how have we never met before?
And yet here you are. And that was a valid pipeline, because it led to us seeing what was essentially enough comedy, and then seeing the tape.
Yeah.
And then being able to evaluate at the same scale as alongside everyone else. It's like, I like that. There's a lot there. There's more there. And
Well, you're helping build the community.
see, that's where I think it should come out of. It shouldn't come out of building through transactionality or favoritism. At the very least, have a mechanism, a system by which people can elevate. And it should be an open system. There should be
100%.
abilities for people to say, I want to be put in the system. Sign me up.
Sign me up, and I'm there.
And I'm there. And it's not a 100% chance. It's 66.6% chance of you getting on that night. Which, fair. Like, oh, you don't get picked. That sucks. But it guarantees an audience. It keeps a really good pipeline.
And that's also the point.
And it's $5.
If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Right.
The only way out is through.
Right. I love and appreciate everyone who does an open mic with us. I love and appreciate anyone who does a show with us. I love anyone who spends any money related to the club, because it's helping bring out a vision that is, look, is everyone going to be the funniest fucking not everyone's going to be ready or there, but at the very least we had a say and had a direct meritocratic process around it.
Absolutely.
Can I get everyone that I like on my stage? No.
Well, and it's also comedy subjective. So
yeah, and comedy's what I
there's so many comics where I'm like, they're hilarious, and then my wife goes and sees them, and she goes, that was really dark and kind of.
I didn't like that, and I'm like, okay, great. Well, guess what? There's a million people. There's billions of people in the world. You'll find your place.
Yeah, if the internet has taught us anything, it's that broad comedy normally sucks, but it gets the most views.
Yes.
Dude, this was awesome.
This is great.
Plug everything one more time. Let everybody know.
So you can follow me on my socials, Brooks Tawil on Instagram. Tawil means tall in Arabic. What the irony.
I've heard the bit.
Brooks Tawil on Instagram and other platforms. If you want to follow the club, Bushwick Comedy Club on Instagram. Also check out our website, bushwickcomedy.com. Upcoming tickets, open mic sign up, and things like that.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to plug everything.
It.
We'll put everything in the show notes. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. At Brennan T. Comedy on all social media, BrennanTComedy.com. Filming the special May 17th at Grove 34. Come check that out, and we'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye.
Boom.